Hey guys, welcome back to the Sebatreyu channel, home of the Sebis, that is you guys. In today's video, we are going to be talking about thinning dreadlocks and how to fix them. If you want to learn how to go from this to this, stay tuned. Sebatreyu is back, yeah. Sebatreyu is back, yeah. Sebatreyu is back, yeah. Sebatreyu. So as I said, we're going to be talking about thinning dreadlocks and how to fix them. Now, everybody and their mothers, granddaughters, friends, adopted nephew knows that one of the ways to stop locks from thinning is to stop all of the over manipulation. You know, from the tight styles to the hands constantly in your hair to the retwisting too tightly to whatever makes an issue, just doing it too frequently. All of those things lead to thinning dreadlocks. Why? Because you're essentially pulling out the hairs out of your scalp, you're damaging your follicles, and hair is no longer growing. Well, if hair is not growing out of your scalp, then that means you don't have hair to retwist. And the fewer hairs you have at your scalp to retwist into your locks, the thinner they're gonna come out, because what? There are fewer hairs to retwist, to lock up. Okay, everybody knows that, so I'm not gonna talk about that reason. I'm actually gonna talk about a reason that I experience, and I know that many of you guys experience. And that is if your hair grows away from your locks. Hair grows away from your locks, what does that mean, Sebatreyu? That means as your hair is growing out, as you're getting all that wonderful new growth, it's not growing into the lock. Now, I've made videos about this in the past, but I still see a lot of people who are in the dark about this, who don't understand it. They know nothing about it. They just know that they have thinning locks. But when you look at their scalp, there's a lot of hair at the scalp. Why is this the case? Well, it's because their hair grows away from their locks. Yanni, the lockologist, was the first person that I ever heard speak on this topic. And she actually has a video where she kind of showed her sister braiding the new growth into the lock. And that video was really poor quality, so I decided to be somewhat of a pioneer and make a very thorough video on how to braid the new growth into the lock. You can check it out right there. And so in that video, it will show you exactly what you need to do to get that new growth going back into your lock. Let me say that once you reincorporate those hairs back into your lock, then your lock will thicken back out. And you don't have to do this braiding technique every time you retwist. I've only had to do it a few times. I can count on one hand how many times I've ever had to do it, and it's been amazing. And let me show you the results now. So this lock right here, I struggled and struggled and struggled with it so many times. I could not get those hairs to grow into my lock. So I had to combine several times, as you see. And even after all that combining, it still remained thin. Then I finally decided to braid the new growth into the lock, and ever since doing that, you can see how it's been nice and thick. And now the hair pretty much stays into the lock, okay? That was the same thing that happened with this one, and with this one, these thickened up. Initially, they were struggling. See how I had to combine there? And I had to combine here, but I kind of twisted it around so it's not as noticeable anymore. These were also problematic locks where the hair grew away. But once I started braiding the new growth into the lock, they thickened up and remained that way. Same thing over here. This monstrosity of a lock. Look how I struggled for at least 2 to 3 years. Combining and combining. You know, everybody says, oh, combine your locks if they're thinning out. But it still keeps them pretty thin, in my opinion. It's not a good permanent fix, but once again, once I started braiding that new growth into the lock, it thickened up. And now look at this big, fat, healthy, juicy lock. So I absolutely recommend that if you want to fix your thinning dreadlocks, that you braid the new growth into the lock. Alright, that is it for this video. So what have you learned? There are multiple reasons why you could be experiencing thinning dreadlocks. One of the not as popular reasons is if your hair grows away from your locks. The solution is to braid that new growth into your lock. And if you don't know how to do that, check out the video. As always, please learn to love unconditionally, because loving with conditions conditions the heart to not really love at all. Sebatreyu is out.